Behind every locked door lies a story the world was never meant to hear. Welcome to Behind Bars TV, where we uncover the hidden realities of the world's toughest prisons, untold inmate experiences, and the systems built to contain them. From supermax facilities to forgotten penitentiaries, we reveal the truth behind concrete walls and razor wire. This is not fiction. This is the world behind bars.
The inside job. They're the ones sworn to keep order. But what happens when the enforcers become the enablers? Inside America's most secure prisons, from Rikers to ADX Florence, a secret economy thrives. Drugs, phones, weapons, even freedom, all controlled not by inmates, but by the guards. This is the story of loyalty, greed, and power, of how the system built to control crime became part of it. The wall within the wall. Every prison is built on a simple illusion that guards control inmates. But inside, there's another truth. Inmates and officers exist in a fragile balance of power, each needing the other to survive the monotony and danger of life behind bars. At first glance, officers seem untouchable. Uniforms, radios, keys jangling at their belts. They represent order. But behind those walls, order doesn't survive without compromise. Every correctional facility runs on a rhythm, movements, meals, lockdowns, but also transactions. Cigarettes, snacks, favors, information. And when those transactions evolve into something darker, it starts small. A cigarette smuggled through a glove, a phone slipped under a meal tray, until the line between guard and gang disappears. One retired officer said, "You don't wake up dirty. You just start bending the rules. And one day, you realize you're on their payroll." The price of a key. Inside prison, a key is the most powerful object in existence, more valuable than a gun, a knife, or even a life. It's the symbol of access. The difference between walls that keep people in and walls that keep secrets out. In one southern state prison, investigators found that guards were selling access for thousands of dollars per week. One key could unlock not just cells, but an entire black market economy. $200 buys a phone, $500 a knife, $1,000 a guard's silence. Cash moves through family accounts or smuggled prepaid cards. And once a guard takes the first payment, they're owned. It starts with fear, said one former guard. Then curiosity. Then greed. After that, there's no going back. The key is no longer metal. It's a metaphor. Every rule bent, every favor granted, opens another door. The Contraband Pipeline. Contraband is the bloodline of prison corruption, and guards are its arteries. Phones, drugs, SIM cards, even flash drives with explicit content, they all pass through supposedly secure checkpoints. But security is only as honest as the people enforcing it. Smuggling networks operate like cartels. Inmates coordinate orders through coded phone calls. Family members deliver drop-offs, and guards act as couriers. Packages are slipped into glove compartments, fastened inside food trays, or hidden within officer gear bags. Some even come through throw-overs, where outside accomplices hurl weighted packages over perimeter fences, later retrieved during night rounds by cooperative staff. In one 2020 investigation at Georgia State Prison, 47 correctional officers were charged with taking bribes to smuggle contraband, coordinated through encrypted inmate messages sent from the very phones the guards provided. The warden called it a virus in the bloodstream. But that virus wasn't new, it was systemic. Cell phones and cell power. Inmates at supermax facilities have been caught running full-scale criminal enterprises, from drug trafficking to extortion rings, all through contraband cell phones. And every phone has the same origin, a dirty hand on the clean side of the bars. In South Carolina, an entire hit was ordered via text from a solitary cell, using a smuggled phone brought in by a guard who claimed it was just a favor. That phone cost $500 to smuggle in, and led to a murder outside the prison walls. Phones connect inmates to the outside world. Girlfriends, families, money, crime. To them, it's power. To the guards selling them, it's survival, a way to earn in months what the system pays in a year. "We're paid to control them," one guard said, "but they control our paychecks." Every phone that enters a prison is a signal. Power isn't enforced from above. It's negotiated in the shadows. Drugs, violence, and silent deals. Drugs are the heartbeat of prison corruption. And guards, willingly or not, keep alive. In many prisons, the demand for synthetic drugs, like K2, spice, has turned staff into smugglers. The process is shockingly simple. Liquid K2 is sprayed onto paper sheets, fake letters, Bible pages, legal forms, then folded and mailed in. Guards intercept the mail, take a cut, and deliver it to inmates. One page can be worth over $1,000 inside. The danger? Once drugs enter, control vanishes. Guards overdose. Inmates hallucinate. Violence erupts. In 2018, a corrections officer at Ohio's Chillicothe prison collapsed after handling K2 laced paper during a search. Weeks later, the same drug reappeared, this time smuggled by one of his colleagues. Addiction isn't just for inmates, an investigator said. Power is addictive too. Drugs fuel chaos, and chaos creates need. Need for stronger control, more force, more corruption. A perfect cycle, designed not by inmates, but by opportunity. The psychology of a dirty guard. Every guard who crosses the line starts with the same story, not greed, but rationalization. I was underpaid. It was just one time. They respect me more than my boss does. Corruption doesn't begin with crime. It begins with connection. Prison is a place where time moves slow and emotions fester. Guards see inmates more often than they see their families. They share the same air, the same walls, the same boredom. And slowly, empathy becomes leverage. A compliment, a secret, a favor. Then an offer. A pack of cigarettes here, a prepaid card there. At first, it feels harmless. But once money changes hands, it's over. "You're not a guard anymore," said a former corrections officer. "You're an employee of the inmate economy." Inside, corruption isn't forced, it's cultivated. Inmates know the weaknesses: loneliness, debt, ego, fear. And they know how to plant seeds that bloom into betrayal. The love trap. It's a pattern as old as prisons themselves. Love, manipulation, and control disguised as affection. At Rikers Island, an internal investigation revealed that more than 24 officers were having romantic or sexual relationships with inmates. Some smuggled phones. Others provided drugs. One even helped orchestrate an assault on a rival gang member, all for a man who called her queen. "They make you feel special," one female guard confessed. "Out there I'm nobody. In here I was somebody." Inmates study officers like chess pieces. They compliment the lonely, respect the insecure, protect the vulnerable. And before long, love becomes loyalty, loyalty that breaks rules. A 2020 case in Baltimore City Detention Center exposed one of the most shocking examples. 13 female correctional officers were impregnated by members of the Black Guerrilla Family Gang, all part of a smuggling ring that turned the jail into a cartel hub. The gang leader bragged, "This ain't my jail. It's my home. My girls run it." The debt game. Debt is one of the easiest doors to open. Correctional officers often earn between $35,000 and $45,000 per year, barely enough to survive. Many work mandatory overtime. Others drive hours to rural facilities for low pay. Criminal networks know this. They find struggling guards, offer help, and slowly pull them in. It's not greed, one agent said. It's survival dressed as opportunity. In Mississippi, a guard accepted $500 to smuggle in a cell phone. By the next week, he was bringing in SIM cards, chargers, and drugs. 2 months later, he was the primary courier for an entire gang unit, making more than $10,000 a month. But the moment they take the first payment, they're trapped. Every transaction becomes blackmail material. Miss a delivery, and your secret becomes a police report. Corruption isn't just an exchange. It's a contract signed in silence. When guards become gangs. Over time, some guards stop pretending. They don't just cooperate with gangs, they become them. In Baltimore's infamous case, FBI wiretaps revealed officers referring to inmates as brothers. They wore gang colors under their uniforms. They used official radios to coordinate drug deals and internal protection. The line between authority and allegiance disappeared. It was easier to run the jail with them than against them, one officer admitted. In Louisiana's Angola prison, guards were caught helping inmates organize gambling rings and fight nights for profit. One officer charged inmates $50 each to participate, taking bets through outside associates. The system itself becomes a criminal ecosystem. Guards as suppliers, inmates as distributors, the public as victims. And the worst part? When corruption becomes culture, honesty becomes the crime. The code of silence. The first rule of prison corruption is the same as gang life. Don't talk. Officers protect each other, even when they know the truth. Whistleblowers face threats, isolation, even retaliation from their own peers. It's us versus them, a veteran guard said. And if you're not one of us, you're one of them. Internal affairs divisions exist, but investigations move slow. Evidence disappears. Cameras malfunction. Witnesses recant. In 2019, a Texas guard who reported a smuggling ring was reassigned, harassed, and eventually resigned. Months later, his unit was raided by the FBI, and nearly everything he reported was proven true. In the prison world, silence isn't just a choice, it's protection. Speaking up means losing your job, your friends, sometimes your safety. That silence is what keeps the machine running. The chain of corruption. Corruption doesn't live in the shadows. It wears a uniform, sits behind a desk, and signs the paperwork that keeps it invisible. In theory, every prison has layers of accountability. Wardens, internal affairs, state inspectors, and federal oversight. In practice, those layers protect themselves. When a low-ranking guard gets caught, the system celebrates a cleanup. But when the corruption trails upward toward management, contractors, or local politics, the files vanish. A former investigator in Louisiana put it bluntly. If a guard takes $500, he's a criminal. If a warden takes $50,000 in contracts, he's a businessman. The same corruption that smuggles phones through a side door can also smuggle millions through budgets, overtime scams, or supply deals. Prison corruption isn't just about contraband. It's about control of the flow of money itself. Inside the bureaucracy, favors move faster than justice. Officers who play ball get promoted. Those who don't find themselves reassigned, or worse. It's not one bad apple, said one whistleblower. It's the orchard that protects the worms. Recruitment, when inmates turn teachers. New correctional officers arrive idealistic, proud, nervous, determined to make a difference. Within weeks, they meet their real trainers, not the sergeants, but the inmates. Older inmates know how to test them, not with violence, but with kindness. A thank you, a small joke, a quiet word of respect. In a place starved of humanity, those gestures hit harder than any bribe. Then, the tests begin. Hey, officer, can you check if my commissary got processed? Hey, can you just pass this note? It's not a big deal. Officer, you're one of the good ones, not like the others. Before they realize it, the recruit has crossed an invisible line, one favor at a time. By the third month, they're already part of an informal network. Some smuggle information, some deliver messages, and some food, money, or phones. Inmate recruiters call it seasoning. They don't need to force corruption. They grow it. We didn't break the new guards, one inmate bragged. We raised them. Cartels behind the walls. By the late 2010s, the word gang no longer fit what was happening inside U.S. prisons. These were cartels, organized, hierarchical, multinational, and deeply connected to the outside world. And at the heart of these cartels were not the inmates, but the staff. In 2017, the FBI's Operation Guard Line uncovered one of the largest corruption stings in U.S. prison history. 80 correctional officers across Georgia and South Carolina charged with smuggling meth, cocaine, and cell phones, all coordinated by gangs who controlled the facilities from inside. The shocking part wasn't just how many were caught, but how long they'd been operating openly. It was a partnership, the FBI report stated. Inmates handled logistics. Guards handled access. Everyone got paid. Money flowed through prepaid cards, cryptocurrency, and wire transfers from inmate relatives. One guard alone made $20,000 in under 6 months, more than his annual salary. The cartels called it the golden door, because once you opened it, you never closed it again. The infiltrations. When corruption became too big to hide, the government turned to infiltration. Between 2013 and 2021, multiple FBI operations planted undercover agents as guards inside high-security prisons. Their mission: expose the network from the inside. In one case, an undercover agent at a federal facility in Maryland spent 14 months posing as a correctional officer. He built relationships, followed the money, and recorded everything. The result? Dozens of officers arrested, including 2 lieutenants and a captain. The recordings revealed how deep the rot went. Guards using inmates' relatives to launder money. Supervisors turning a blind eye. Shift captains pocketing taxes from every smuggling deal. "We thought we were investigating a few dirty guards," said one agent. "We found a parallel government." The deeper they went, the clearer the pattern. Prison wasn't just a cage, it was a kingdom, and every corrupt officer was a piece of its government. The guard who tried to be good, every system built on silence, eventually meets someone who can't stay quiet. In 2019, Officer James Arnett, a pseudonym used for safety, came forward after witnessing corruption at a Midwest state prison. He had seen everything: guards delivering drugs through the kitchen, supervisors skimming overtime pay, a sergeant taking cash from gang leaders for protection. When he reported it, his world collapsed. Fellow officers called him a snitch. He found nails in his car tires, his locker vandalized, his shifts reassigned to isolation wings. He filed complaints with the Department of Justice and waited. Months turned to years. Nothing changed. In his resignation letter, later leaked to The Intercept, he wrote, "The inmates aren't the only ones serving time. Some of us are locked up in a system we can't escape." Weeks after his letter went public, the prison quietly fired 2 supervisors, but made no acknowledgement of his name. His story became a whisper, passed between recruits like a ghost story. In the end, the only man who tried to clean the system was erased by it. The hidden economy. Every corrupt prison eventually becomes its own economy, a living, breathing black market where everything has a price. A phone costs $400. A gram of K2 costs $1,000. A favor from a guard? Depends on your loyalty. Inside ADX Florence, Marion, Angola, and dozens of state prisons, investigators found a structure almost identical to organized crime. Distributors, high-ranking guards who control which staff get access to shifts near key cell blocks. Couriers, low-level guards and maintenance workers who move the goods. Accountants, family members or girlfriends on the outside who handle money transfers. Enforcers, inmates who maintain discipline inside the operation. One former FBI profiler called it the perfect criminal corporation. The same people hired to enforce order were running a parallel system of profit, and everyone depended on it. The money moved through prepaid cards, Western Union wires, or cryptocurrency. By the time investigators traced it, it had already been laundered through 3 states and 2 relatives. The state called it corruption. The people inside called it business as usual. The cleanup, that failed. Every few years, the headlines return. Corruption scandal exposed. FBI arrests dozens of officers in prison sting. Warden promises reform. And yet, nothing changes. The reason is simple. You can't fix corruption by arresting its foot soldiers. You have to dismantle the incentive structure that breeds it. Low pay, overcrowded facilities, understaffed shifts, and a system that rewards silence more than integrity. After the 2017 guard line sting, the Department of Justice promised stricter screenings, polygraph tests, and random inspections. But within a year, another ring emerged, this time in Mississippi, then Texas, then Oklahoma. "It's like trying to plug holes in a sinking ship," said a DOJ analyst. "Every patch you make, the water finds a new way in. Some prisons even cut budgets for internal investigations, preferring quiet firings over federal scandals. The illusion of control was more valuable than actual reform. "The only thing they clean up," said a former warden, "is the paperwork. When guards turn on each other, when money and fear mix, betrayal is inevitable." In 2021, a Tennessee prison erupted in chaos when two guards, once best friends, turned against each other. Both had been working the same smuggling line until one decided to keep a larger share. Within weeks, anonymous tips flooded internal affairs. Wiretaps caught them plotting against each other and against anyone who knew too much. One night, a riot accidentally broke out in their unit. The guard who talked was cornered in the corridor. He survived, but never worked another day. "Prison corruption doesn't end in court," said an FBI official. "It ends in betrayal. Guards start turning each other in not out of guilt, but revenge. Entire shifts become divided, the clean versus the dirty. And once that war begins, the system starts eating itself alive." A warden at Angola once described it perfectly. "It's like living in two prisons, one for the inmates and one for the staff. The guilt that never leaves. Not every dirty guard ends up rich or caught, but none walk away clean." Many former officers describe the same haunting pattern. The sound of keys jingling at night, phantom footsteps behind them, dreams where they're still walking those corridors. "Even when you leave, the prison doesn't leave you," one said. "You start realizing you weren't guarding inmates, you were guarding your own guilt." The money disappears fast. The fear lingers forever. Some turn to alcohol. Others move states, change names, cut ties with their past. But the moral weight remains. You can't erase years of looking away, of feeding the very machine you were supposed to stop. In the end, corruption doesn't destroy a career. It destroys a conscience. Collapse. It began with one anonymous tip, then a raid, then a dozen arrests. In 2023, Redwood Correctional Complex, one of America's largest maximum security prisons, imploded. Over 40 staff members were indicted. The warden was removed. The facility was temporarily shut down. Investigators uncovered everything. Drugs hidden in transport vans, guards running side businesses, supervisors falsifying overtime, even contracts funneled to companies owned by relatives. The governor called it a tragedy of oversight. The inmates called it justice. For decades, prisons were built on the promise of control, cages, keys, and concrete. But control itself had been corrupted. "They thought they were locking us up," one inmate said. "Turns out they were the ones trapped." As the last cell door slams shut, the echo feels different this time, not like punishment, but like karma.
What you just saw is more than a story. It's a reality lived by thousands behind bars. If you believe in uncovering the truth, the kind hidden behind concrete walls and silence, then join us. Subscribe to Behind Bars TV and never miss a chapter in the world's most dangerous stories. Until next time, stay aware, stay informed, and remember, freedom and confinement are sometimes only a wall apart.